Her story might seem fantastical, even to Hollywood screenwriters. A school teacher in a provincial French town, the wife of a banker and the mother of 3 children, falls in love with a student who is 24 years younger. For obvious reasons, the lovers must part, but not for good. The student grows up and returns to his teacher. She divorces, and they marry. Then, one fine day, he becomes the president of France, and she becomes the first lady. A lady who, despite her efforts to remain modest and restrained, in many respects turns out to be more popular than her husband. Dutch publications recently dubbed Brigitte Macron the Parisian Jane Fonda, which is not particularly surprising. An observer from 1843 magazine called Brigitte an agent provocatrice, and that is far more intriguing. Yet the greatest surprise is this. A year after Emmanuel Macron's election as president, the 65-year-old Madame Macron not only became extremely popular, Macron's approval rating fell from 66% to 34% over the year, while his wife's remained at 67%, but also made the French ask themselves what it means to be a woman in France, and in particular, what it means to be a woman of Brigitte's age. Madame Macron is gaining more and more admirers among young people. When she visited a lycée in Dijon, one attendee described the students' reaction as ostentatiously hysterical. Glossy magazines reported on a new phenomenon dubbed Bibimania, noting that among first ladies, only Bernadette Chirac, the wife of Jacques Chirac, had been more popular. Unlike in the United States, in France, the first lady is not expected to be a dazzling public figure. Though Macron undoubtedly sets the bar high, something else is expected of her: public engagement. At official events alongside her husband, Madame Macron carries herself impeccably, though she once admitted that she feels strange in the role of First Lady. Nevertheless, Brigitte found herself at the center of a broader discussion: how the French see women, how French women see themselves, and, by extension, how the world sees France. She quickly joined the ranks of style icons, yet she still prefers to remain a quiet one. Emmanuel Macron tried to formalize the role of the First Lady by proposing to give the president's spouse an official capacity to represent France and support charitable or cultural initiatives. The idea received a lukewarm response, and today Brigitte has only 2 assistants and no clothing budget. She borrows her outfits from major fashion houses. And yet Madame Macron has achieved something for which other First Ladies struggled for years, often without much success. She has influenced the unwritten code of French male politicians, many of whose wives are half their age. She made the age difference her advantage, summarizes French writer Philippe Besson. A woman over 60 is no longer in the position of an invisible. With her aversion to floral prints, Brigitte has allowed many women over 50 to feel freed from social pressure, free to wear what they want and to be themselves. She prefers the role of a discreet First Lady, yet she embodies a certain rebelliousness deeply rooted in the French spirit. Some commentators believe that Brigitte has become a model of the modern French woman. There are even those who call her a feminist icon of the 21st century, as she helped shape her husband's feminist stance. Several years ago, Emmanuel Macron declared that France was sick with sexism, and today half of France's government ministers are women. Still, for now, most French people see Brigitte more as a maternal figure and a kind of mentor than a feminist. She spends much of her time in schools, hospitals, and social centers, and receives more than 200 letters a day, more than any of her predecessors, most of them requests for advice on raising or educating children. Will Madame Macron manage to break a few more stereotypes while remaining in her husband's shadow? Time will tell. Emmanuel Macron is by no means a creation of his former teacher, But the role of loyal wife and companion that Brigitte Macron plays extends far beyond the purely symbolic.